welcome to the Classy Zombie, the podcast. If you found us from YouTube, TikTok, or one of our whatnot shows, welcome. Glad you followed us over here. And if this is your first time running into us at all, here's the short version of who we are. I'm Michael.
And I'm Rose, co-host, wife, and fellow true crime enthusiast.
For over 30 years, I worked as a licensed mental health counselor. I'm not practicing clinically anymore, but the background never really leaves you. It shapes how I look at people, at behavior, at why things happen. On top of that, I've spent decades as a collectible appraiser.
And for almost 20 years, I have worked in the medical field, currently as a nurse practitioner. So between the two of us, you've got the clinical read on human behavior and the medical side of things.
That combined is basically the DNA of everything under the Classy Zombie banner. On YouTube, that's Cold Cases of New England, my recurring segment, The Evidence Room, where I appraise objects tied to a case and give a behavioral read through a clinical lens. On Whatnot, it's vintage toys, die-cast cars, horror memorabilia, and gothic jewelry, live auctions, candy shows, the whole chaotic fun mess of reselling.
And now this podcast is where all of it gets a little more room to breathe. Longer conversations, deeper dives, less edited for the algorithm, more just talking. And look, we should probably just tell them now, since it's going to come up eventually, we did have a murder mystery themed wedding.
We sure did.
Which in hindsight is either the most honest thing two people can do or a genuine cry for help.
I'm going to go with it was a cry for help. So here's what to expect going forward. Really, there are no expectations because we don't live up to most expectations, but we're going to try. We're going to do cold case deep dives pulled from and expanded beyond the YouTube episodes. Dark tourism stories from places we've actually visited, conversations about the collectible world, and every so often a guest who lives in one of those worlds with us.
If you've caught any of our recent interviews over on YouTube, you know we've been sitting down with some genuinely fascinating people.
We've been really lucky. We recently talked with Jules Thorpe, true crime creator behind Fire Eyes Productions, about missing in Hushtown. Great conversation. Go watch it on YouTube at the Classy Zombie 271 if you haven't yet.
And coming up, we've got something that we're really excited about. An interview with Grady Stiles III, whose father was the legendary sideshow performer known as Lobster Boy. We're getting into his connection to one of the strangest sideshow murders out there.
Actually, that one already has hit the air and is on our channel as well at the Classy Zombie. I'll say it as much as I can. Classy Zombie 271 on YouTube, and that was a great interview.
So if you haven't seen the Jules Thorpe interview yet, go fix that. Subscribe, follow us over there, and comment. That's also where a lot of this podcast content gets its start before making its way into longer form here.
And follow us here too. This is our first endeavor into podcasting. This is our first show. We're excited and a little nervous, and that might come across, but we will improve. So Rose, let's talk a little bit about ourselves. We both are very busy during the day, so we don't get a lot of time to see each other. Actually, I think we get 6 awake hours a week during the week to talk. So how's your week been?
It's been good, actually. I've had a few days off. We've done a few fun things in the downtime. We did a yard sale, and we sold things at a flea market recently.
And we got to see some really good friends over the weekend that we haven't seen in years, literally. And I've had a smile on my face ever since. They're just some people that you spend time with, and they just make you happy, and you wonder how you lost touch for so long and why it's been so long. So we're planning to see them again in October, I believe.
Yeah, we had a really great visit. We drove to Vermont. We are New Englanders. It was like a 2.5-hour drive, but it was well worth it. While we were out there, we also checked out the Cabot Creamery to get lots of cheese, and we went to the Ben & Jerry's site as well.
There are some really cool pictures of me at Ben & Jerry's eating ice cream and having it all over my beard. I'm a little bit of a slob, aren't I?
Sometimes.
So, what's coming up? What are we doing this week? Someone has a special day coming up.
Yes, it's Michael's birthday on Thursday this week.
Really? Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, we're having a little birthday dinner celebration on Wednesday night with our children and my parents. So that should be nice.
It's really nice living so close to family. I didn't grow up with a lot of family around, just the nuclear bunch of us, and coming to New England for college many, many, many years ago, I fell in love with the area. I knew this is where I wanted to raise children. And after many years, I met Rose, and we got married, and our families blended. My boy and her boys became instant brothers, and they love each other to this day, and they're in their 20s, which is so nice to see. And I gained amazing in-laws, and just great people, aunts, uncles.
I do come from a great family. You are correct. We do have a lot of great relatives, and I grew up in the same town that I still live in today. And my mom lives here, and my dad lives here. My parents have an amazing pool. The kids love to go over there and spend a lot of time over
I
there.
was going to mention the pool. It's funny you bring that up. Why do I think of the pool when I think of your family? And I've been in that pool in the 20 years that we've been around, maybe 5 times.
That's because you're a grumpy old man, but everyone else goes in the pool all the time.
Do I sound grumpy? I'm a happy, happy man.
Okay.
So we're gonna be light and want to be honest with people, talk about ourselves, and we'd love to hear from you. So please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and let us know if there's any crimes that you want us to cover and look into. We've already covered on the channel on YouTube a few crimes. We've been only been on for 2 months, and we're proud to say that we have over 4,000 subscribers already. We did a case about John McCabe, a young man that was killed in the local area in Lowell, Massachusetts, and the crime was not solved for 40 years. People got away, and they were juveniles when the crime happened, and they were caught. 3 adult men are serving time now. Thank goodness. Justice sometimes comes later than it should, but it seems like justice comes anyway, especially now with all the amazing technology, and that's one of the ways that that crime was solved. We also covered the Bear Brook Park murders, and that's a New Hampshire story about barrels that were found that had been in the woods for years and years, and someone looked in them and saw that there were bodies, children and adults, in those barrels, and then more barrels were discovered, and that was also recently solved through DNA. So, some amazing, fascinating stories, amazing technology. That's where Rose comes in, explaining to us how that DNA forensic piece works. Um, and I'll make up stuff as I go along. I'll pretend I know what I'm talking about, like I usually do.
Perfect. Do you want to dive into our case?
Sure.
All right. Lastly, before we get into it, we genuinely do want to hear from you. I know he just said it, but we want to hear back from you. We want comments. We want you to subscribe. We want you to like. We want to hear what you have to say, and we'll do our best to read everything and get back to you. All right. So let's start with our case. Today, we want to discuss the disappearance of Maura Murray. Maura Murray was a 21-year-old girl who disappeared in New Hampshire back in February 9th, 2004. A snowy Monday night on Route 112 in North Haverhill, New Hampshire, on a stretch of road the locals called the Wild Ammonoosuc. A black Saturn sedan was found crumpled up against a tree and a snowbank with the hazard lights blinking. A neighbor, who was a school bus driver, pulled over to offer help. He talks to the young woman inside. She tells him she's fine, that she's already called for help. He walks back to his house less than 100 miles away, talks to his wife about it, and calls the police anyway. When officers arrive a few minutes later, the car is still there, but she is not. That was over 20 years ago, and Maura Murray still hasn't been found.
We're Michael and Rosemary, and this is Cold Cases of New England. So who was Maura Murray? Before she was a case number, Maura was a 21-year-old nursing student at University of Massachusetts in Amherst, driven, athletic, well-liked. She'd spent time at West Point before transferring. By most accounts, she was someone with drive, direction, someone who was really building a future. But the days leading up to her disappearance don't fit that picture cleanly. She'd been in a car accident days earlier, using her father's credit card without telling him. She emailed her professor saying she'd be out for a family emergency, which was a lie, since nothing was wrong at home. She withdrew money from an ATM, and she left campus that afternoon without telling her boyfriend, her family, or her roommate where she was going.
That combination, a young woman with real plans, making a string of decisions that look like someone trying to disappear, is the first thing that makes this case so hard to sit with. It doesn't resolve into a clean narrative. It sits right in the tension between something happened to her and she wanted to vanish.
When the police arrive, the car is empty. Her purse, her cell phone, and importantly, her identification are still inside, but there's no sign of Maura. No footprints leading a way that anyone could definitively track. No struggle evident at the scene. She's simply gone, in the middle of a rural New Hampshire winter night, miles from anywhere she'd have reason to walk. And I've been to that area, and it is remote.
So, multiple theories about this case exist. One theory is that she got into a car. Multiple witnesses reported seeing a black SUV in the area that night, including one report of a man moving quickly along the road near the crash site. If someone offered her a ride or forced her into a car, it could explain the total absence of a trail.
I want to talk about that first theory. So, a black vehicle, a black SUV, is, I don't know, in 2004 if the police were using black SUVs, but today they do in this area. And there is a lot of suspicion around the police, their lack of documentation, the timeline not matching. So I really strongly lean on this theory, just knowing that piece of it. And there's a second theory that she walked into the woods. Search and rescue teams have combed the surrounding area repeatedly, including recent state police searches near Landef and Easton, about 5 miles from the crash site, an area flagged by early, largely overlooked tip about a young person moving quickly that night. If she went into the woods, disoriented or in crisis, the terrain there is unforgiving in the winter and unforgiving year round, like I said. What are your thoughts on that theory, Rose?
Well, there wasn't really any evidence that she was kind of out of it and would wander into the woods for no reason. The gentleman that pulled over to offer assistance to her didn't say that she seemed out of sorts at all. He said that she seemed, like she knew what she was talking about, that she had already called for help and was just waiting for AAA to get there.
So the third theory, Rose, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there was also a theory that she staged her own disappearance. Given the pattern of deception in the days prior, some believe that Maura intentionally walked away from her life. The problem with this theory is what it requires: surviving alone, on foot, in rural New Hampshire, in February, with no money and no support, and then staying hidden for 20 plus years without a single confirmed sighting.
Another theory is that foul play is tied to someone she knew. Investigators have looked hard at her personal relationships, though nothing has ever been made public that ties a specific person to her disappearance.
There were a few other things that have been mentioned in this case. One was a phone call that she made to her boyfriend the night before she disappeared, I believe. Just sounded normal, that she missed him, she would talk to him later. Nothing about being upset, nothing about leaving, no inkling that anything was going to happen to her.
Now we're going to move into the evidence room segment. And from an appraiser's lens, this case has almost nothing to physically anchor it. No weapon, no confirmed remains, no personal items recovered outside the car, and no footprints, which is really confounding. What's left behind, her ID, her phone, her purse, isn't valuable in the collectible sense. It's valuable because of what's absent in the appraisal work. You learn that sometimes what's missing from a set tells you more than what's present. Here, the absence of anything she'd have needed to survive on her own, cash, warm outerwear, her phone, is the whole exhibit.
There was also information that she had previously taken her dad's car a few days prior and crashed that, and had also used his credit card without his permission. So from the clinical side point, the behavioral pattern in the days before, the lie to her professors that there was a death in the family, the unauthorized credit card use, the silence toward people close to her, reads less like premeditated escape and more like someone in acute distress, making impulsive decisions without a plan for what came after.
And I want to go back and look at the initial police response. The 911 call after Maura crashed her car into a snowbank. Local resident and bus driver Butch Atwood stopped to assist her. She declined his offer for help, but Atwood called the police from his home shortly after. And then the arrival of officers. Haverhill Police Department officer Cecil Smith arrived at the scene within minutes of the call, but Maura was already gone. And securing the scene, officers found Maura's Saturn locked with several personal items inside, as we've mentioned, including credit card, cell phone, a bottle of liquor, while other items like her debit card and backpack were missing. The controversy of public scrutiny, um, it just looks like something is amiss. Something's being covered up, either failure to cover the case effectively, police being unable to deal with this. It's not a very large area. It's not a populated area. The police don't have a lot of experience in that area with murder, missing people, anything like that. They're more there to, keep the peace, and it's basically a quiet, sleepy area. So this is a big thing. And the police seem to have dropped the ball with this. And not to criticize the police in any way, I know they do great work, they do hard work. We touched upon this in our interview with Jules um, Thorpe from Fire Eyes Productions, that the police are sometimes just overwhelmed, and it seems like that might be the case.
There was also an unverified theory that maybe a local officer had something to do with it, possibly the first officer who got on the scene. There are some theories that suggest that he may have offered her a ride or had an interaction with her that went wrong.
Her family has been endless in their pursuit of finding the truth. Her sister is active. Her father has dedicated basically his whole life to finding where Maura was, even though at some point he was a suspect. I mean, everyone who touched this case has been a suspect at some point, but they've been tireless in their efforts, and it's really admirable. And it says that it was probably a close family, and you don't just abandon your close family. And if you do, you let them know that you're okay, especially with the publicity. This has received nationwide, if not broader, publicity. This case is well known. And in New England lore, this and I think Lizzie Borden are the two most mysterious cases, unsolved cases, although we know what happened with Lizzie Borden, I think.
The New Hampshire Cold Case Unit has never closed this file. In recent years, they've used updated forensic and search technology, dug up flooring after a cadaver dog hit turned up nothing, and investigated a lead that was tied to Loon Mountain that also went nowhere. In 2024, the FBI released an age progression image of what Maura might look like today, marking 20 years since she has vanished.
Somewhere between a car crash and a tree line on Route 112, Maura Murray's story stops being something anyone can tell with certainty. 22 years later, her family is still waiting for an ending. If you have any information, anything at all related to this case, please contact the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit at 603 271 2663. And thank you for listening to our first Cold Case of New England file. And anything you would like to say, Rose, before we check out?
Just to repeat ourselves a little bit, that we would love to have comments from you listeners. Please subscribe, please like, and reach out and talk to us. Let us know how we did, what other information you would have liked to hear, and what you would like to hear going forward.
Stay classy and stay creepy.
Thank you.